I caught my cheating wife red-handed. She never expected my brutal revenge Reddit cheating stories. I'll never forget the night my entire world shattered. It wasn't a slow crumble, not a gentle erosion of trust over time. It was one brutal, gut-wrenching blow. 1 minute, I was a husband who believed he had a loving wife, a solid marriage, and a future built on trust. The next, I was standing in my own living room, staring at my wife locked in an embrace with another man. I should start at the beginning. My name is Daniel, 36 years old. I married my wife, Rachel, 7 years ago. She was my everything, my best friend, my partner, my safe place in a chaotic world. We weren't perfect, but I thought we had the kind of marriage where we could weather storms together. Rachel was beautiful, vibrant, and full of life. She had this laugh that could light up a room, and when she looked at me, I used to feel like the only man alive. But over the last year, things had started to feel different. She was distant, always on her phone, constantly working late. When I'd ask her what was wrong, she'd smile and say, "Just stressed, babe. Don't worry." But I did worry. I noticed how she guarded her phone like it held national secrets. How she suddenly became too tired for intimacy. How her stories didn't quite add up. My gut screamed something was wrong, but my heart didn't want to believe it. Then came the night everything changed. I was supposed to be out of town for work, a 2-day conference. But one of my meetings was cancelled, and I decided to surprise Rachel. I thought she'd be thrilled. I imagined walking in, her face lighting up, us ordering takeout and spending the night together. Instead, I unlocked the door and heard voices. Her voice, soft, playful, and a man's voice, deep, low, intimate. My stomach dropped. My legs felt heavy as I walked toward the living room. And there she was. My wife. On our couch. Straddling another man. I froze. For a split second, I couldn't breathe. She turned, and when her eyes met mine, everything stopped. Her face went pale. She scrambled off him, stammering, "Daniel, this isn't what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. I wanted to scream. To hit something. To fall apart. But I didn't. Instead, something inside me went ice cold. I looked at her, then at him, and simply said, "Get out." The man, clearly panicked, grabbed his shirt and bolted. Rachel stood there, shaking, tears streaming down her face, babbling excuses. But I didn't want excuses. I didn't want apologies. I walked past her, went upstairs, and locked myself in the guest room. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. The woman I loved, the life I thought I had, it was all a lie. But instead of collapsing, something hardened inside me. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to crumble. I was going to make sure she regretted every single choice that led to this moment. And so, my revenge began. First, I acted calm. Cold, but calm. I didn't throw her out immediately. Instead, I let her think I was still processing, still deciding. She begged, cried, swore it was a mistake, that it meant nothing. But I knew better. Affairs aren't accidents, they're choices. I started quietly gathering evidence. Screenshots from her phone, she'd left it unattended one night, and I finally got in. Bank statements showing dinners and hotel charges. Texts between her and her lover, whose name, I discovered, was Mark. Once I had everything, I set my plan in motion. Rachel and I had built a close-knit circle of friends. We hosted dinners, went on trips, were the golden couple to many of them. She cared deeply about her image, about being admired. So I decided to destroy that very image. I organized a get-together at our house, inviting our friends, her family, even some of her coworkers. Rachel thought it was my way of moving forward. She eagerly helped plan, thinking it was a sign I was willing to reconcile. When the night came, I waited until everyone had eaten, had a drink, was comfortable. Then I stood up and said, "I want to thank you all for coming. There's something important I need to share." Rachel looked at me, smiling nervously, not knowing what was coming. And then, I laid it all out. I showed the texts, the photos, the receipts. I described walking in on her with Mark. Gasps filled the room. People stared at Rachel in shock and disgust. Her face turned crimson. She tried to interrupt, but I kept going. Every detail. Every betrayal. By the end, she was sobbing, begging me to stop. But I didn't. I wanted everyone to see her for who she truly was. When I finished, I looked around the room and said, "This is the woman I married. This is who she really is." Then I turned to her and said, "We're done." The silence that followed was deafening. Friends she'd cherished avoided her gaze. Her own sister whispered, "How could you?" Rachel tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." I filed for divorce the next day. With the evidence I had, it was swift and brutal. I kept the house, most of the assets, and full custody of our dog, who, honestly, had been more loyal than she ever was. Rachel moved out, her reputation in ruins. I heard Mark dumped her soon after, not wanting to be tied to the mess. She tried reaching out, begging for forgiveness, saying she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. And maybe she had. But it wasn't my burden anymore. It's been over a year now. The pain is still there, but it's duller. I've rebuilt my life. I focused on my career, my health, my friendships. I even started dating again, cautiously, with walls higher than before, but I'm learning to let people in again. The lesson I took from this: betrayal doesn't define you. Heartbreak doesn't destroy you. What defines you is how you rise after the fall. I chose not to be broken. I chose to stand tall, to reclaim my dignity, and to show Rachel that her betrayal didn't ruin me, it freed me. So, to anyone out there feeling the sting of betrayal, remember this: you are stronger than the lies, stronger than the heartbreak. And sometimes, revenge isn't about anger, it's about reclaiming your life and walking away with your head held high. Because in the end, the best revenge is living well, while they drown in the consequences of their own choices.